Google has announced that all of its generative AI features will be enabled by default for everyone, whether it's kindergartners or your faculty and staff. For most school districts, this isn't something that you're going to be happy with, so today we're going to be looking at all of the AI settings in the Google Admin Console, talking about them, and helping you configure them for your domain. Hi, my name is John Sowash. Welcome to the Google Admin Bootcamp. To get started, log into your Google Admin Console and head over to the Generative AI section on the left side of the sidebar. Google's moved all of the AI controls to this one central location. We'll look at all of these over the course of the video, starting with the Gemini app. Now, this is the core Gemini experience, gemini.google.com, that you can enable for staff and students. There's no age limit, so the first thing you're going to need to do is decide who is going to have access to the Gemini app. Now, hopefully you have a robust set of organizational units, because that's how you're going to manage this. My recommendation is to disable Gemini at the root and then enable it for any organizational unit that you wish to give access. So I've gone in and I've turned Gemini on for my staff, and then I've also turned Gemini on for my high school, but not for my elementary. So if you don't have a good set of organizational units, it's going to be very challenging to manage this. I'll link to another video in the description that walks you through best practices for setting your OUs up. Now, there's several other settings related to the Gemini app I want to discuss with you. These are new, and I'm sure there'll be new settings popping up over the next few weeks as well. So we've got our general on-off switch configured. Now let's talk about this user access section. This is incredibly confusing. I have read, reread, talked to Google support, posted in my Google admin groups, ran this through Gemini itself, trying to understand what this paragraph means. I still don't know that I'm fully understanding it. Even Google support couldn't really give me a straight answer. They essentially told me that it doesn't matter if you check or uncheck this box. This setting determines under what license your users will be accessing Gemini. Now, within a school, we want to make sure that we're underneath our Google Workspace for Education terms of service, which means this data won't be used for training, advertising, or any other purpose. I am unchecking the box simply because of this last paragraph. If this option is not selected, users can access Gemini only with a license to provide access in their Workspace for Education terms. That's what I want. So that's what I'm going with. I honestly don't know that it really matters, but I certainly don't want my data going anywhere else other than staying restricted within my domain. If you have more information or insights into this, leave me a comment and let me know, but that's what I'm going with. The rest of the settings are a little more straightforward. I'm going to scroll down to the apps section. This is where you can control whether or not Gemini can communicate with other Google services. There's two sections. There's the core Workspace services, and then there's the other or the secondary Google services. So the way this works is if this is on, when a user types the @ symbol in a Gemini chat, they'll get a list of options, which will include Gmail, Google Drive, Google Calendar, etc. So it's very handy. It allows a user to query Google Drive. Say, Gemini, do I have any documents on such and such? Or have I received any emails from this person? And that will be incorporated into the Gemini chat. So I think that's great. I like that. I've turned that on. The other Google services are those not included on their core Workspace for Education license. Primarily, this is YouTube, but it would also include things like Google Maps, Google Tasks is in there. There's a couple others, Google Flights, things like that. I've turned it on, especially for teachers. Being able to ask Gemini about YouTube videos is very helpful, so I'm allowing that. Then we have our conversation history setting. This is going to be an important one. I also had to reach out to Google support to fully understand this. You definitely want conversation history on, and then you get to determine how long that conversation history is saved. So this is similar in some ways to the retention policy for Google Chat messages or even Google email messages. I did confirm with Google support that what you have configured here will impact Google Vault. So if this is disabled, Gemini history will not be available through Google Vault. So I've turned it on and I've set this to 18 months. You can make whatever decision you want, but this does have ramifications both for the end user as well as your ability as an admin to look at conversations through either Vault or the audit and investigation tool. Thanks to Visor for Chromebooks for sponsoring this video. Visor has been helping school administrators simplify Chromebook management for many years. Visor can automate time-consuming tasks, including automatically disabling lost, stolen, or overdue Chromebooks, bulk OU assignments, and, this is awesome, Visor can even identify when students swap from their assigned Chromebook and notify you. That is amazing. Visor offers schools all this and more, including repair and warranty tracking, automated inventory management, and barcode support. Learn more by visiting vizor.cloud/GAB or click the link in the video description. This section here will vary a little bit depending on what licenses you have in your Google Workspace domain. So what we're looking at is Gemini for the Google Workspace apps. Now this can be a little confusing. It's like, didn't we just do that? This talks about the ability to use Gemini inside of Calendar, Chat, Drive, Meet, Gmail, etc. That feature requires a Google Workspace for Education Gemini license. This is the premium Gemini license. I believe it's $20 per user per month. I have it for my account, so this whole section here shows up. If you have a license, then you'll see this. If not, you'll just see this feature access in classroom option. This feature here is free and available to all Google Workspace domains. And this is cool. This allows teachers to access Gemini features inside of Google Classroom. It's a very good resource for teachers. I highly recommend that you turn it on. The features above will only be visible to anyone who has that Gemini premium license enabled for their account. Now, one thing I did notice is that if you leave this Gemini in Classroom feature on for everyone, it shows up for students, and this is not a student-facing feature. This is all about creating rubrics and quizzes, and it's all very teacher-focused things. So you want to click on Feature Access in Classroom. I would disable it for everyone, and then enable it for your instructional staff. That will give everybody what they need and lessen confusion and things like that. The last section we need to talk about is NotebookLM. Now, this is pretty straightforward. It's either on or off. So there's no internal controls for this. My recommendation, again, is that you disable NotebookLM at the root and then enable it for whatever organizational units you wish to give access. I'm a huge fan of NotebookLM. Personally, what I am doing is I am disabling all AI tools for my elementary students. I am enabling NotebookLM for my middle school students. And then for my high school students, I'm enabling everything. So high school gets access to both Gemini and NotebookLM. I really like NotebookLM for middle school because it gives them a very guided, kind of sandboxed way to interact with AI, helping them build some of those core competencies so that as they mature and move into the high school age, I can give them access to Gemini. Not saying that's the perfect solution, but that's what I'm comfortable with. That's what some of the schools that I work with are doing right now. Those are the settings and policies for generative AI as of today. If you're interested in more settings for artificial intelligence, I'll link to several helpful videos that will guide you through some processes and key things to think about. Thanks again to Visor for sponsoring this video. If you're looking for a top-notch Chromebook management solution, make sure you check them out. I'll add a link in the video description.